All right, guys, so now we officially start learning about the 11 systems of the human body and kind of going through all their organs. This is by far like one of my favorite units. So um, hopefully we'll keep this short and sweet and I won't take too long on all this stuff. But this is just an idea of just some general organs related to different systems. And hopefully you're kind of familiar with some of these. Like your brain is part of your nervous system. Your heart is part of your cardiovascular system. Kidneys, they're part of your urinary system, make your urine. Now your small and large intestine, that's more of your digestive system. Oh, there's your skeletal system. We can really just keep going. These are just organs related to different systems. There's your respiratory. Liver is predominantly your digestive system as well. Urinary system, muscular system. There's some we haven't identified, like your skin or your hormone systems, but we'll go through them. So the first one we're going to do today is the digestive system. When it comes to the digestive system, there's a lot of organs, but a lot of them you're familiar with. For example, digestion, it starts in your mouth and then travels down this big, long, flexible tube, your esophagus. And then it dumps into your stomach. And this is just where the whole idea of digestion is to break it down into the smallest parts that can be absorbed into our bloodstream. So the stomach does just that. It's got stomach acid and it breaks it down to its smallest parts. And then it dumps into your small intestine and then in your large intestine and then travels out the poop chute. All right. So this is a picture of your large intestine right here, just showing how the blood vessels are attached to that large intestine. And everything's about absorbing and breaking things down. So here is the organs associated, and I know there's more, but here's the major organs associated with the digestive system. So this esophagus. Now this tube right here that you feel, this is your trachea. That's not your esophagus. Your esophagus is behind your trachea. So right now you'll want to pause the video to write down what these organs are. Your liver. Now, if you think about this, your esophagus travels down, and if you hit your rib cage and where it forks, your stomach is actually on the left side of your body, and the liver is on the right side. So this picture can be misleading because you got to flip it. So then your liver and your gallbladder, they work together. The liver makes digestive juices called bile, and the gallbladder stores it. And that's what helps break down your high fatty foods. So people that get their gallbladder out, they have a hard time digesting high fatty foods. Pancreas, behind your stomach, releases juices to break things down. And yes, it's also in charge of controlling your blood sugar. Like we said, there's your small intestine. And then out the large intestine, then out the poop chute. So the big idea, like we said, about digestion, it's the process by which food and drink are broken down to their smallest parts, so the body can use them to build and nourish our cells. So digestion is all about breaking things down and then absorbing it into the body. And hopefully the stuff that it breaks down is good stuff for your body. You don't want it to break down bad stuff and then get that absorbed into our bloodstream, because then you're going to be in trouble. All right, let's move on to, there's 4 steps that I want to teach you about digestion and how it does its job. So the first step is that food travels down the esophagus. And like we said, that's the tube behind your trachea. And it's really long. It goes from here all the way down to your stomach. So it's about, a foot long. So food enters the stomach, and then your stomach gets a muscle, and it churns and mixes up the food. Plus, so you've got saliva and your food, and it's been mixed up in your mouth, and you swallow it, and you've got stomach acid, and that acid helps break food down even further. So now you've got all of these juices and all of these molecules being broken down. And then it's going to leave the stomach, and it actually enters the small intestine. Okay, and the small intestine produces juices that help break it down. Okay, but it also gets juices from the pancreas and the liver. So the pancreas and liver put more juices into the small intestine to help break it down. Your small intestine, it's got two major jobs. It is what we call the master digester, because this is where the majority of the digestion process actually happens. Not in the stomach, definitely not in your mouth. It's mainly in the small intestine. And this is also where the majority of the absorption happens. So when you think about what location, what organ of your digestive system does the majority of the breaking down and the absorbing, it is definitely your small intestine. All right, so let's keep looking at this. So finally, all the digested nutrients, like we said, are absorbed through the intestinal walls, more your small intestine. Okay, and then all the undigested parts that it doesn't need or want, it's going to get pushed out of the large intestine and proceed into that colon. So the large intestine and colon is the same thing. Okay, so it goes out this large intestine, also known as a colon, and then travels out the rectum, out the anus, and then out of your body. So kind of falling through this path again. So here's the nose, the nasal cavity. So food travels down the back of your throat, and it's called your pharynx. And it travels down your esophagus into your stomach. And then your stomach has acid and breaks it down. And then look at this, it goes directly into your small intestine. Okay. Now this is where you can see a blue tube dumping juices into the small intestine, as well as the pancreas, this yellow organ dumping juices. So the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas all dump juices into this small intestine. And once again, make a note. You have a picture of it on page 5. Make a note, your small intestine's major job is to break down food. I drew a down arrow to break it down. And it has to absorb. It's where the majority of the absorbing of these nutrients happens. Your large intestine is really responsible for absorbing the water. So if it does a good job absorbing water, then you can end up being constipated. If it does a bad job, then you can end up having diarrhea. So your large intestine absorbs the water. Small intestine all the nutrients. Your liver, your gallbladder, and your pancreas all secrete juices loaded with enzymes to break things down. All right, so let's keep on going. Okay, now this is where I need you, sorry I keep moving me, but I need you to pause the video and label your image in your notes packet, but I do need you to add 2 things. So add these things before you pause it. This guy right here needs to be added. That's your gallbladder. And this one right here, why these aren't labeled, I have no idea. Should be. Pancreas. Oh dear. You can't read my writing. It's in your notes. So now I want you to pause it, and then you can get your picture labeled on page 5. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next. We're going to talk about, this is just a kind of a cool comparison between a shark's digestive system and the horse's digestive system. Knowing that every animal has some digestive system process and similar organs between all of us animal species. So like there's their esophagus, and there's a stomach, small intestines, and then out. So their system looks a little more simpler than ours, because it is. If we look over here at the horse, look how long their esophagus is. Okay, here's their stomach, and then it goes into the small intestine, then the large intestine until it goes out the poop chute. So a lot of these organs are kind of all smushed in there, but really cool. They've got similar things as we do. All right, so let's go over the juices. Where do I want to go? Right here. Okay, we've already talked about these, but saliva is the first juice that begins the breaking down process. And then stomach acid breaks things down. Small intestine juices also secretes juices to help break things down. And all 3 of these are acidic. And once again, they are loaded with enzymes. And enzymes' job is to help change molecules by breaking them down or adding new things, but they change them. Okay? Now, this guy is actually a base. If you think about it, if all the juices in our body were all acidic, like if all 5 of these were acidic, we'd be in trouble. You'd have holes in your intestines, in your large intestine, because the acid will just eat through the cell's tissue. But bile is actually a base, so it kind of helps neutralize the juices, so it's not so acidic. Okay. And then pancreatic juices. So once again, you're going to want to pause it and write down these 5 juices that are full of enzymes to break your food down. All right, now this is a picture of actually your small intestine. It's your stomach putting food into your small intestine. I shouldn't say food, because if it was food, it would not look this pretty. This is water. So this is water in your digestive system. You can see the clear liquid. Just showing how that's traveling down the tube. All right, you guys, so that kind of ends where we're at right now. And then tomorrow we'll hit up the rest of our systems. So get these notes and then move on to your assignment today. And it's on Canvas.